Good morning, everyone,
Good morning.
and welcome to Haringey's first event for National Apprenticeship Week 2022. My name is Aku Khalif, and I am the Principal Employment and Skills Officer leading on youth employment and skills. So I have led the employment and skills team to put together a 5-day event from today, Monday, 7th of February, to Friday, 11th of February, to celebrate National Apprenticeship Week. I hope that the series of events will give Haringey businesses the information they need to increase their workforce through apprenticeships and support residents into apprenticeship opportunities within our growth sector, which are health and social care, construction, creative, green economy, science, technology, math, and engineering. This morning's session is for residents, and it's about starting your journey to become an apprentice. Before I introduce you to our first speaker, please permit me to take you through some house rules. So if you would like to ask a question at the end of each presentation, you would have the opportunity to do so. I would encourage you all to use the raising hand button on Microsoft Teams to be able to do so. Also, like I said before, the session is being recorded and I would like for everyone to stay. However, if you're not comfortable with being recorded, then now again is the good time for you to leave the session. The agenda for today, I will share my screen so I can share the agenda with you. So first we would have Sharon Bolton from Haringey Works talking to us about support or pre-employment support from Haringey Works. Then we would also have Sean from Haringey Adult Learning Service speaking to us about math, English and ICT support for those of you looking to get into apprenticeship, but perhaps you don't have the right qualifications. Then we would have someone from our HR team, Lauren Pierce, talking to us about apprenticeship misconceptions and opportunities within the council. And after Lauren, we'll have our colleague Jack Green talking to us about his experience of becoming an apprentice in Haringey Council. And then finally, our apprenticeship advisor, Farrington, will be speaking to you about the support he can give you to help you get into an apprenticeship job. I do hope you find these sessions useful. And I will stop sharing my screen at this point and hand you over to our first speaker for the day, Sharon Bolton. Over to you, Sharon.
Good morning and thank you, Aku. So let me share my screen quickly. My name is Sharon Bolton and I'm the delivery manager for Haringey Works. And I have the pleasure of working with a strong team of employment advisors. And I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about that in a minute. I'm just going to share my screen with you. Just give me a minute, please. Let me get that presentation up. Is everybody able to see that? I can't see you now, so I'm assuming that you can see that. This is very exciting for us as a local authority. In the past, we've had perhaps one-off events during Apprenticeships Week, and for the first time, we're having a whole week of events focusing on apprenticeships. And depending on who you talk to, apprenticeships have sometimes have had a bad rap over the years, and there's so much misunderstanding about apprenticeships. And so we are hoping that through these activities this week, through your questions, through your answers, and hearing from real apprentices, it will expand your understanding and knowledge of the apprenticeship offer. And it will let you know really that it is not for individuals who can't find other things to do, but that apprenticeships are for all ages, for all levels of skills and qualifications, and it can really be a viable alternative to building a solid and promising career. So let me go through this presentation and just tell you a little bit more. No, Aku already talked about the housekeeping things in relation to using the microphone function and using the chat if you want to put your questions there. We asked, and as every now and again you can hear background music, and I think that we try to mute people, and we ask just to prevent the background noise from being a distraction. In relation to webcams, it's optional, really, whether or not you want to keep your webcams on. However, as the numbers grow, sometimes that has an impact on the quality of the sound and of the picture. So at some point, we may ask people just to turn their webcams off. The rest of it is relatively self-explanatory. So Haringey Works really is the local authority's employment support service. So any Haringey resident can register with Haringey Works, provided, of course, that you have right to work documentation and you really want to work. It is a voluntary program. It is not one of those programs where if you choose not to work with us, then you are sanctioned by the DWP. We take great pride, professional pride, in the fact that this is a voluntary program. So it means that when people register with us, it means that you do have a real desire to work in spite of any barriers or any difficulties or challenges you are facing. I started off by talking about the fact that we have a very strong group of advisors who can work with you in relation to your employment journey. But you will be hearing from my colleague Faridun a little bit later on, who is our specialist employment advisor dealing with apprenticeships. When you register with the team, you have access to information, advice, and guidance. We can talk to you about your career choices, and in this case, in relation to apprenticeships, Faridun will explain to you about the range of apprenticeships, the type of apprenticeships, the route into different type of apprenticeships, the qualifications needed or experience needed for apprenticeships, etc. Apart from apprenticeships, Haringey Works has access to a wide range of vacancies in the borough, as well as in neighbouring boroughs and further afield. We offer a range of training courses, for instance, CV writing or interview skills or LinkedIn training. We do that in partnership at the moment with Hayes, and in the future we'll be doing that with another organization called Matrix. So whatever it is that you need to be able to help you to get into work, Haringey Works is that one-stop shop that can offer all of that and more. And then finally, we make a commitment to support you in your first few months of work. As a matter of fact, we maintain contact with you for up to 6 months after you have started work. So it is a comprehensive offer. The advisors are strong, they're experienced, and they know what they are doing. And we make a commitment for up to 6 months after you start a job to maintain contact with you. In the chat, and Michelle, if you can put that in the chat again for me, please. I've put the web link, or the web address rather, for our portal. We do have an online portal, the Haringey Works portal, where you can actually register yourself if you aren't already registered. And I'm going to see if I can, it's in the chat. Let me just see if I can get to that before we end here.
I've just added it in again for you, Sharon.
To the chat, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So if anybody wants to register with the service, then please do. That's what the site actually looks like. You register, you give us your details, and our colleague Michelle will be in touch with you as quickly as possible to book an appointment for you to see an advisor. At the moment, and in response to COVID restrictions, etc., we have been offering a hybrid service, meaning if you want to see somebody face to face, that is available. And if you have no objections to doing the interaction and the interventions online, we can also do that. So we meet people in libraries across the borough: Wood Green Library, Marcus Garvey Library, Coombscroft Library, and Hornsey Library. And in the new year, we will be new financial year, we'll be moving into a range of other community venues. But for the time being, we know that some of you would prefer to see somebody face to face. We can accommodate that. And for those of you who are fine doing exactly what you're doing now, which is joining online, we can also accommodate that. In terms of our contact details, there they are. If you'd like to contact us by email, that's works@haringey.gov.uk. Our main telephone number, as you can see there, is 0208 489 2969. And our website is, as you can see, the works.haringey.gov.uk. So I'm going to stop there at this point and see if there are any questions, or do we do that at the end of the full presentation, Aku?
If people do have questions at this time, then yes, they can ask those questions. But if not, then you can carry on.
No problem.
You're frozen, Sharon. Is Sharon frozen for everyone, or is just me?
Yeah, I think she is having connection issues.
Yeah, she's frozen.
Sorry, it is for everyone. Wait, for me as well.
Yeah, she's frozen for everyone.
The joys of technology.
Yeah, I think she may have finished with her part as well, so maybe better to move on to who is the next presenter.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Sharon is leaving. She may well join, but not to put anyone in Haringey Works on the spot. I wanted, if possible, if someone could talk to us about in details the specialist support that is available. So I do know that Haringey Works have specialist advisors focusing on different groups, for example, youth employment support.
So Farazan, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I'm very happy. Sharon's back in. Yeah, I'm very happy to cover that. Although maybe Sharon, if she wouldn't mind. Yeah, so generally speaking, you know, we, as Sharon mentioned before, at Haringey Works, we have a number of advisors who specialize in various different functions and specialities. For myself, my name is Faridun. I am the apprenticeships advisor. So my role is to specifically support people into apprenticeships. But within the rest of our team as well, we have a number of people who support individuals into regular jobs. But within our specialist team, we have myself, who works with apprenticeships. We have another person who works with care leavers, and then another person as well who works with young people and youth at risk in particular. Soon we'll be joined by another member of staff who will be covering special educational needs, and she will be dedicated to supporting people into work like that. But generally speaking, there's around 4 specialist advisors, a further 4 to 5 employment advisors who specialize in just regular work across a range of seniorities. And then we also have 3 employment navigators who support people with connecting to the right areas of the council and other services that can improve their employment. That's about us, roughly.
That's great. Thank you, Faridun. It seems that the services available in Haringey Works gives everyone the opportunity to get the support they need to move into employment. We have Sharon back. Sharon, I was just wondering if you would like to talk to us about your temporary work opportunity as well. So that
Okay. Thank you, Aku. And it just goes to show that even in these situations, the show has to go on. So thank you very much for filling in for me. Not too sure what happened with internet there. Yes, so apart from...
Take the camera off. Already joined.
We can hear you. Welcome, and thank you very much for joining us. So apart from general employment support, helping people to find a range of opportunities from administration, retail, construction, and everything in between, apart from that, And those are, we tend to help people into what we consider to be sustained roles, roles that we believe will last at least 6 months. Although sometimes in the field of construction, because of the nature of the work, roles don't always last that long. Apart from that offer, we are launching a new service to supply temporary members of staff to the local authority. We believe it's an excellent way for some people who are working as temps elsewhere, perhaps with other local authorities or in the city. It's a brilliant opportunity to work for the local authority. There are significant benefits to being able to do that. You have reduced travel costs. For some people, it could be that they're trying to change careers or they just want to use their skills in their local borough. That is being launched now. And so for the time being, we are offering opportunities for people who want to work in admin and clerical, manual labor, and health and social care. And those are the 3 areas that we are focusing on now. So if you're out there and you don't mind having short-term contracts, because sometimes those short-term contracts can lead to permanent employment. There are people who want to get into local authority, and the temporary opportunity is the way in. So if that is something that you'd be interested in, and by temporary, we're saying it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, but while you are there and you are you have the opportunity to be put forward for other roles. And while you are working as a temp, if you see a permanent job that you believe that you have the right skills and qualifications and experience for, then absolutely nothing prevents you from applying. So I wanted to add that as another part of the Haringey Works offer. And thank you very much for mentioning that, Aku. Once again, if you have an interest in that, the contact details are there. Telephone number 0208-489-2969, or just drop us an email at works@haringey.gov.uk. So if there aren't any other questions, I'm going to hand back to Aku, but this is very exciting for us as the local authority, and we're hoping that you will have access to a range of not just information, but tools, tips, and strategies to be able to make decisions for yourself about apprenticeships. Thank you. You're on mute, Aku.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks very much, Sharon. That's a range of services and support available from through Haringey Works. And I do hope that if you're looking for a job, you would contact the team and sign up and get the support that you need. I mean, as Sharon said, myself, my first job was a temporary job, and through that it grew and it became a permanent job. So please take a chance, and if you're here as a provider as well, please do encourage your service users to sign up to Haringey Works. So next, if there are no questions, then next we have Sean McIvor, from Haringey Adult Education Service. Sean is here to talk to us about, again, support from Haringey Adult Learning Service. So over to you, Sean.
Sorry, guys, before we continue, there is a question from Christine. She would like to know, are opportunities available to residents of all ages, those especially over the age of 24?
Yeah,
Sharon, would you like to take that?
I'll probably steal that away from Sharon, but yeah, absolutely. When it comes to apprenticeship, it's no longer the case that there's sort of any kind of age restriction. There's even some which you can start from 16 years old. So long as you're over 18, predominantly for most of the apprenticeships, it shouldn't stop you at all. Yeah.
Thank you, Farringdon.
And of course, for the wider Haringey Works offer, it's 18 plus, and there isn't an upper limit to getting employment support from Haringey Works. Thank you.
Sorry, I got a question regarding to age as well. I know that Haringey offering most of the apprenticeship for 18 plus. Is there any gap for 16 to 18-year-old?
Yeah, so as I say, there are some opportunities where you know, they are available from 16. I know TFL, they run some programs which start much earlier. There's a number of organizations, but you just have to spend a bit of time sort of looking into that and seeing who offers programs for above 16. But yes, there are a number of opportunities out there for plus 16s. Yeah.
But can I just say, I know Lorraine is coming on a little bit later on, and Lorraine will be able to clarify exactly the age, the starting age for restrictions with the Haringey Council. I believe it's 18, but I'd ask Lorraine to clarify that later on.
Okay, thank you.
Your floor, your audience, Sean.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. The first question I want to ask, can you see me and can you hear me?
Yes, indeed, Tobias.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to share my screen, so please tell me when the PowerPoint presentation comes on. Can you see the PowerPoint presentation?
We can indeed, yes.
Great, thank you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sean McIver. I work at Haringey Adult Learning Service, which is based at Wood Green Library on the 2nd and 3rd floors. I've been with Haringey, must be 21 years now, and I've worked in different types of roles. Currently, at the moment, I work as the Open Learning Centre Manager, and I'm going to explain a little bit about that when I go through the slideshow. But I have worked previously with apprenticeships. We used to have an apprenticeship contract many years ago, and I thought it was actually a very successful apprenticeship contract because we used to recruit apprentices for Haringey Council. That was when it was 16 to 24. Thankfully now it's open to adults, which is great because I know that there are many adults out there that would love to get on apprenticeships because it is a great way of getting into employment. I mean, what's better than being paid, but also getting the training and a qualification attached to it, and actually getting a qualification up to a degree level, which again is, you know, fantastic for some sector areas. But you know, what I want to do is sort of talk to you about those opportunities for people who want to perhaps get onto apprenticeship but don't maybe have the functional skills qualifications or the GCSE requirements to be able to do so, because that shouldn't stop you from getting onto an apprenticeship, because there are ways of actually being able to do that. And I'm going to try and explain how Haringey Adult Learning Service can help with that, because we do a lot of the qualifications that make up the framework, the apprenticeship framework. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we can do that perhaps might encourage people to consider applying for courses with ourselves or with other providers. So a little bit of housekeeping first of all, and I think we've gone through this already. So cameras off, just be on mute, please. And any comments, please put in the chat, and then I'll come back to it at the very end for questions. Who we are? Well, we're part of Housing and Growth Directorate, London Borough Haringey, and you know, thankfully we've been invited along for this event because Haringey Works are part of Housing and Growth. They actually focus very much on employment, recruitment. We tend to focus more on sort of training and education, but we do overlap at times as well. And what we did was, as you can see from the screen, you can see lots of different things that's been written on there. Those are comments from our students about their learning at Haringey Learning Service. And it's interesting, there's two areas that I think that's not on there that's really important for apprenticeships. And one is passion, because I think for apprenticeships, this is what employers are looking for, but you need to have a passion in perhaps maybe the sector area that you're interested in, but also in applying for apprenticeship. And you also need self-motivation, which is not on there as well, because it's all about motivating yourself to enable you to look forward to try and get onto apprenticeship. And there's many ways to help you get on the apprenticeships. And one place I would suggest is the National Career Service, who are very useful. You can go to their website and they will give you lots of information about how to get onto an apprenticeship. There's obviously a National Apprenticeship Service website as well. So a little bit about the courses that we do at HALS. I'm not going to go into every course. I'm going to try and focus very much on those courses that support learners to get into apprenticeships, because that's what this is an event about. It's not about how, it's about getting onto apprenticeships. The main ones that you need for apprenticeships is the functional skills. They're essential. You need the functional skills in English up to level 2. You need functional skills, maths level 2, and in some sector areas you're going to need ICT as well at level 2. Now, obviously we do different levels because everybody is at a different level. So, you know, you might come in to us and we assess you, and you might come out at entry 2, entry 3. But that doesn't stop you from getting an apprenticeship. What you do is you work upwards to try and get to the level 2, or at least the minimum level 1. You know, courses that we run at HAL start from very much study skills to entry 1, right up to level 2. But it's so important, not just for apprenticeships, but just for people looking to get back into work, people looking to get into further education or higher education. They are relevant in many ways. So functional skills we normally run each term, and the idea is that you progress along each term. So we're very different to colleges, because someone could start maybe a level 1 in September, but by June, July the following year they've completed their full level 2. So we tend to run classes either evenings or sometimes daytime. We are now back at Wood Green Library, which is great after COVID. We've got face-to-face classes because we know a lot of people who are vulnerable prefer face-to-face classes. We've got hybrid, and we've also got online. So there's a great choice for people to decide what way that they want to learn. We've also got ESOL because we realise that there are many people whose first language is not English. And again, you know, these range from sort of entry 1, entry 2, right up to level 1. And then what we try and do then is progress them onto a functional skills course. So it's really important if you are a second language speaker, especially if you've got skills in a particular sector area from your own country and you want to get back into that sector, but you haven't got the English qualification, then do consider about doing an ESOL qualification, then moving on to the functional skills thereafter. IT, yeah, I mean, you need IT for many things nowadays, and we've got courses ranging from complete beginners up to ITQ level 3. And also alongside those, we have many sort of courses or workshops that cover lots of things like Photoshop, Illustrator, coding, level 1 ICT with employment. So you can see we're very much focused on trying to get people back into work. A lot of our courses have got employability skills embedded into the course because we realise that that's why most of our students are joining the programs in the first place. So we try to ensure that the employability is embedded into the learning, and we've been quite good at it, as you can see from, you know, our success rates. That's pretty good, and it's not just about success rates; it's about the feedback we get from our students, and you can see that, you know, the feedback, you know, was excellent or good. The idea is that, you know, students come onto the courses, they're looking at different progression routes, and I've put in their apprenticeships through Haringey Works because we work very closely with Haringey Works, and I'm going to just mention about some of the things that we do later on with Haringey Works. But we also focus on getting people into university. Many universities now will accept functional skills English Maths at level 2, so that's one of the reasons why sometimes students consider our program. But I would say to you, if you're thinking about apprenticeship and you're thinking about degree, do your degree through an apprenticeship. What's better than doing your degree and actually getting paid for it rather than actually taking out a student loan? So again, apprenticeships is just a great way of getting into higher education. And we try and support people into apprenticeships. We've got obviously the Open Learning Centre where people can come in, they can do self-study, they get help with homework. And then we've got Faradun, who's going to do a presentation later on because he is a specialist apprenticeship advisor with Haringey Works, and he's actually based with us on a Tuesday, and we're very thankful for that because he's working very closely with a number of our students to try and get them into apprenticeships. And one of the things that we have amongst the staff, especially the frontline staff, including myself, is that we're qualified information advice and guidance advisors, so we can actually give careers advice. We don't unfortunately have a contract, but we are going towards the matrix to try and give that support, and it's what Ofsted expects anyway for for you to be able to give information, advice and guidance. And we provide support and job search. So we do a lot of referrals to Haringey Works, but we also see a lot of residents who are not Haringey residents. So we try and support them as well. And one of the things I should say is that, you know, Haringey Adult Learning Service is open to all learners in London. And we have even learners outside of London who are obviously online learning. So we don't focus so much on Haringey residents. Yes, they're important to us, but we can also support learners from other boroughs as well. And we also have employability workshops, and we use organisations like IAPT who provide support for people who might have health issues to get back into work. We will also be running our own workshops. I think Haringey Works already do some great workshops as well. So there is a bit of lap over between ourselves and them at times, but they very much focus on employment. We try and support people back into work as well. So how do you get onto HALS courses? Well, you can go to our website. So if someone is able to copy and paste the website into the chat.
Sean?
You're on mute.
You're muted.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, sorry.
Yes, we can.
Sorry about that. I don't know how that happened. I haven't touched anything on the screen or anywhere.
It happens. It happens.
Just going back to what I was saying, I'm currently on our website at the moment showing you the way to get onto our courses. I mentioned that, you know, we've got over 50 courses currently. Some of those are workshops. What you do is you go through the website, you check which one that you're interested in. Obviously, for things like apprenticeships, you'd be looking at functional skills. You would go to either the English, math. You can apply for both. It's really up to you. We will obviously assess you prior to actually starting the course. We check your levels. We make sure that you have an interview with a tutor. They can then discuss with you what level would be most suitable for you, and then look at sort of like what class then you could join. And then they would be able to give you a sort of a progression idea of how you can reach your goal of becoming an apprenticeship, how long it might take before you actually get your full functional skills at level 1 or level 2. And that way it'll give you an indication of how quickly you can get onto an apprenticeship program. I'm just trying to go down the screen, but it's not letting me now. There we are, that's right. So you can see that's what the screen looks like. You can see at the moment we've got 3 maths courses available. We've got digital skills. It's all in English, but they're just some on the screen. Before I sort of finish, I do want to talk about a case study, and this case study is quite important to me, quite close to me, because I turned 60 last year, and I had one of my ex-students surprised me because I had a few drinks and a meal with some friends, and he turned up. I didn't know eventually he was turning up. He didn't just turn up out of the blue, but he was one of my apprentices from many years ago. I won't mention his name, not that he's listening, but he was a young person I met. I think he was probably about 17 when I first met him. He had come from overseas. He had no qualifications at all. He had a good level of English. I think English was spoken in his country, but he started off with functional skills, and he achieved his functional skills in both English, maths and ICT. And then he applied for an apprenticeship program with HALS because, as I said, we used to deliver apprenticeships many years ago. And this was when we used to work very closely with the local authority. And I think he was in leisure, sports and leisure, for his level 2. And then he applied for level 3, and he actually came to HALS as a level 3 student. So he completed his advanced apprenticeship, which a level 3 at that time was comparable to A level. I think it's probably still the same comparability, but I've been out of apprenticeship for such a long time now. It has changed. And he spent, I think, a year, 2 years with us, and he's very good on IT. That was his niche. And he decided that he wanted to get into IT, and he decided that he was going to apply for a job with another borough, because obviously he had experience working at Haringey, and he applied for a job as a data analyst because he was very good on working with data. And this particular role that he went for, so that allowed him to actually do his level 4. So he went there and he worked there for a number of years. I think he was in parking services. And then after being working there for a few years, I think he worked with another local authority. But when he came to see me on my 60th, obviously I hadn't spoken to him probably for about a year or something like that. And he came along and he told me that, you know, he's now self-employed. He's a contractor. He actually works for a range of different organizations, not just local authorities, but also high-profile companies. And he's come such a long way. And that's the great thing about apprenticeships. It allows you to move from very much to the bottom right to the top. It will take time, but it is such a good way of getting back into work, but also getting a career, something that's going to give you something for the future. I don't think I'm going to say any more. I just want to say, if you are applying for apprenticeships, good luck. Don't be afraid to contact ourselves about pre-apprenticeship training or any information. If someone can also put my email address in the chat, I'd be most grateful. People can drop me an email. If they want some information, advice, I'm quite happy to do that. But if there's any questions or anything like that, please, you know, let me know now before I hang up.
Any questions at all for Sean?
There was one question, but I think it's more relevant to construction. So we've answered that in the chat. There is another question, but I think Lorraine's going to cover that one. So let's hold on for Lorraine's presentation.
Okay, Sharon, I've got a question.
Yes,
I don't recall hearing how people can not register the criteria for people using Haringey Adult Education services. So just wanted to find out, are the courses free? Do people have to have, you know, is there a criteria?
Yeah, I should have mentioned it's 19 plus, so you have to be 19 and over. The criteria basically is that anyone can apply for our courses. It's not just for Haringey residents. As I mentioned earlier on, we've actually got students who actually go online out of London, and obviously we try and encourage people to apply for our courses, and most of our courses are free. In fact, all of them are free at the moment. I mean, things can change. The government could turn around and change their mind, but they're all free at the moment. And you know, I didn't mention about some of the other sector areas that we do. We do things like accounts, bookkeeping. We do level 2 in counselling, which is very popular. There's lots of other areas. So you just go onto our website and you'll see what other courses that we've got on there. But we obviously carry out a robust assessment to make sure that our learners are challenged when they do a course, that they don't find it too easy or too difficult, but, you know, that they're assessed thoroughly. And that they're interviewed, and that we can try and look at progression for them. So it's not just a case of joining the course and that's it, you leave us. We try and make sure that they're going on to something else at the end of their course.
Sean, can I ask a quick question, if that's all right?
Yeah, by all means.
So for me, I've tried to register someone on one of your courses, and there's a bit of ambiguity. So does someone have to be 19 on the day that they commence a course, or do they have to be 19 at the start of the academic year? So for instance,
start of the academic year. So I think it's 19 by the 31st of August of the academic year. So as long as they're 19 by the 1st of September, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, at the start of the academic year. So if a young person was 18 and they wanted to start a course in January, and they turned 19 in January, they would be ineligible.
No, they'd have to wait until September.
The next, sure. Yeah. Right, cheers.
Farringdon?
I think there's a question from Anita Bores, who's asked, how do I apply for apprenticeships? So generally speaking, the way that apprenticeships work is that they're pretty much like any normal job application, in that you'll be expected to complete an application form, occasionally to write a cover letter, and then to submit that onto it'll be through their website, or the majority of apprenticeships will be through the Find an Apprenticeship service. So if you don't have an account already and you're very keen to get into an apprenticeship, the first thing is to just create an account with them and to start browsing and seeing what you like. Once you've found something that you would consider taking on as a career path, it will then be to look at the application, analyze the job description, what things are they asking for. Oftentimes, apprenticeships have much lower requirements in terms of how much you have to write and to what extent and what detail you have to write. So it's more general questions around your interests. Why do you wish to go into a particular field? And what are your skills that are applicable in that area? It's more about what you wish to learn as opposed to what you know already. And then it's to interview with them. The interview process is typically a two-stage process. They wouldn't go very extensively. And these apprenticeships, there will be some with Haringey Council coming up. There's a couple, I believe, out at the moment. But generally speaking, they're not exclusive to Haringey Council. There will be apprenticeships across a whole range of industries and companies. But Haringey Works, how we fit into all this is that once you've, or if you've found an apprenticeship that you want to apply for, then we would support in that application. So when you're writing the application questions, I would be there to support you, kind of to review what you've written and to make suggestions for amendments and to support you with that. Also, we can help you to kind of create the CV that you would initially apply with. So yeah, that's how we tag into it. And while you're in the interview process, we also do interview preparation. We do kind of any sort of support that you would require. So if you would like to begin that journey, is then to give me an email or a call, or leave your contact details and I'll get in touch with you. And that's generally how the apprenticeship application process would go. Yeah, absolutely, Anita.
Anita, you had your hands up. Did you have another question, or was it the same question you wanted to ask?
I think I have unmuted you now, so you should be able to ask your questions, Anita.
Hello, yes. Sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name.
Faridun.
Faridun. Okay.
Or Faridun, just run through it.
Okay. Hi, I'm Anita. I just wanted to find out, with trying to apply, whether it's with the council, do you mean your apprenticeships come through you only, or they come through the council and yourselves?
So we as Haringey Works, we don't have any apprenticeships with us. What we do is we help find them for people. So if what in particular are you interested in? An apprenticeship in what?
Well, I like IT.
IT. Okay, so how it would work is that an employer out in the market would offer this apprenticeship, and that employer could be Haringey Council or it could be a private company, right? So they would then advertise this job as normal, and then they would expect applicants to come in with their applications as normal. And what we do is just support you, put a really strong application together. So at least you get into the interview stage. Then if you pass the interview stage, then we do quite a lot of prep work to get you prepared for the interview. And it can be actually quite effective working with someone who's a specialist, who's an experienced recruiter, because then we can very much target, certain factors in an interview, what things to improve. Yeah. But generally they're available out in the market, and we would support you in finding them, applying to them, and securing them as well.
Right. Sorry, could I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Is this only within Haringey Borough, or is it even just outside of Haringey?
This is for everywhere. I mean, apprenticeships now, I think it's quite important to say that they're not what they used to be. So there's a huge range of apprenticeships coming up through a range of companies. So it's not exclusive to Haringey. And even if you were to apply to an apprenticeship that's not in Haringey, that doesn't stop me from supporting you at all. So long as you're a Haringey resident, I can work quite closely with you.
Yeah, sorry, I only asked because I did see some on Haringey Works, but it kept saying like the up to 24-year-olds only, and I'm a mature person.
It depends. So some roles would have that stipulation. So it's again the company that's offering the apprenticeship. What kind of apprenticeship do they want to offer? So there will be some whose particular focus is opening things up, for example, for young people. Or I know there's some work being done to support around work experience for mothers, for example, who don't kind of operate in the same 9-to-5 time. Yeah.
What last question? What about people who have a disability and want to work from home?
Yeah, so people with disabilities as well.
To take up
no,
time.
not at all. That's absolutely fine. And again, if they wish to work from home, that's absolutely not a problem for us to support. But it's again going out into the market and finding a company that's happy for that. I think it's gonna start to get a bit more difficult as companies are going to be moving back in, as opposed to planning for working from home remotely. But definitely we can assist you in trying to find those optimum companies. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Can you leave your details in the chat,
Yeah,
please?
I will
Thank
do.
you.
Anita, those are very good questions there. And I would also, at this point, like to give a plug, not just for Anita, but for anyone else with very specific questions about pre-employment support into getting into an apprenticeship. To sign up to Farringdon is going to have a session, I believe, on Friday that will look at other opportunities, other apprenticeship opportunities. And at that session, you can ask specific questions related to your personal circumstances and situation. So if there are not any more questions, I think now is a good time to bring, I can see a hand up.
Yep.
We'll take that. And then.
Hello, is it possible to retrieve it after the meeting we had today? The PowerPoint, or no?
Yes, so I will send, or we can send across to you the presentation, and also the sessions are being recorded. So hopefully we will be able to put this on our website, and you can go back and listen to it over and over again to make informed decision.
Thank you.
Not a problem. So like I was saying before, if there are no more questions, now is a good time to bring Lorraine Pierce, our apprenticeship lead for Haringey Council. And I do know that some people have asked questions that perhaps Lorraine will be able to pick up. So over to you, Lorraine.
Thank you. Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Lorraine. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Good. So, yeah, my name's Lorraine Pierce, and as Aku said, I am the apprenticeship lead at Haringey Council. So I just want to talk to you a little bit today, really, about perhaps maybe some misconceptions. It's already been addressed slightly earlier, but we'll go through it. And then if you do have any questions, please, do ask. I'm happy for you to ask them as we're going along, or you can wait until the end. So
Lorraine, sorry to interrupt you. Your presentation has gone missing.
Has it? Okay.
Yes, we can only see your screen now, not the presentation. There you go.
Is it back?
It is back, yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I mean, apprenticeships, as we've mentioned, used to be primarily for younger people, but now they are aimed at all ages. There was a question earlier that somebody said about what age, could it be for 16-year-olds? And actually, yes, it can. So it does depend, as Farringdon has said, it does depend on the company that is advertising. But for Haringey specifically, our apprenticeships would be open to 16 and up. So it's from 16 years old all the way up to whatever age you want to continue working for, really. So I manage the advertising of apprenticeships, and I'll talk about that a little bit later to let you know what opportunities are available at the moment, because we do have some quite interesting ones coming up very soon. So this is quite a good timing, really. So yeah, I mean, as I've said, it's the days of when it was mainly for people starting out in employment, that's gone. Apprenticeships are a fantastic way to earn while you learn. And as we've mentioned as well, you can get, it goes up to degree apprenticeships. So we do have, you can do an apprenticeship in social care, social work. Obviously, you'll need to have some prerequisites for that. But if you found a position advertising for that, you can then get your degree in social work alongside actually doing the role. So yeah, you're earning a wage while you're studying for a recognised qualification, and during that time, you're given the time that you need to study for that qualification. So if you were, let's just say you applied for a job role as a business administrator, and you were going to do, alongside that job role, you were going to be doing business admin level 3 apprenticeship. You could do a level 2 as well if you would prefer. You would be given, so you might work 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. One of those days would be given for you to attend your studying. So that would be any workshops or tutorials, and then it would be allowing you time to do any assignments. What I will say at this point is that it doesn't have to be taken in that one day. So it can be spread, depends what works better for you, what works better for the business team, and it depends when the college are actually running their tutorials. What we have found is, since it's gone virtual due to COVID, whereas you maybe used to do 1 day a week actually in college, 1 day a week doing virtual classes is too long. So they've sort of reduced those down to maybe just a morning or a couple of hours, and you might do those twice a week rather than a whole day. So yeah, let's talk about some myths versus fact. So one of the first things that I've put here is apprenticeships are only for school leavers, 16 to 18-year-olds. It's not true. Not anymore. You can start them at any age, and they're not just for those starting out in their career. It might be someone that's decided they want to change career. It might be someone that's looking to get back into work after having a bit of a career break, or it is their first opportunity to go to work. So it's open to everybody. Absolutely everybody, and I'm really keen to encourage that because I think it's a fantastic opportunity for people. Another myth here is about apprenticeships are for people who don't really have any further qualifications. Not true. As Sean was saying, that that it's not true. It is open to anybody. There are some prerequisites. It depends on what apprenticeship you are going for. So and generally they will always say, we'd like you to have level 2 maths and English. Having said that, as Sean has said, you can get support in attaining that if you don't have that already. But also a lot of the training providers will support you to get those qualifications whilst you are doing the apprenticeship as well. So do not let that hold you back. There are plenty of opportunities. We can, help you in securing a role. And I deal with a lot of training providers and can speak to them and see what support they offer so that you can get that qualification whilst you're doing the apprenticeship. So that shouldn't hold you back. The other thing as well is that some people said, so I think there was a question in the chat that asked about someone's a graduate, so they've got a degree. Could they do an apprenticeship? Yes, you can. The only thing that we would say is that you couldn't have, I don't know, let's just say you've got a degree in accounting, you wouldn't be able to then go and apply for a job and get a job in accounting, because you the funding rules are that you would be deemed to be overqualified. So basically what they do is they look at to see what qualifications you have at the moment, and the whole point of it is that they would like to ensure that you're going to get learning out of doing the apprenticeship. If they feel that you're overskilled in that area and actually not going to get anything out of that apprenticeship, then you wouldn't meet those funding rules and you wouldn't be able to undertake that apprenticeship qualification. But you could have a degree in art and then join and get a job role in accountancy and do an accountancy apprenticeship. So that's the difference. So yeah, I mean, other myths here. So apprenticeships are for people who didn't do well in school. Not true. Apprenticeships are for everybody. Absolutely everybody. They're basically just an alternative route into getting skilled employment. And not everybody wants to go to university. Not everybody has that opportunity. Some people want to earn while they learn. My daughter was one that did that. So she didn't want to go to university, so she went and did an apprenticeship and loved it. So it's a fantastic way to gain a skill, get a qualification, and earn while you're learning, which is the really good thing. So the other one is apprenticeships don't pay well. So this is a real myth that I hear all the time. Well, they only get paid £4 an hour or £5 an hour, and that might be what it used to be like a long time ago. But certainly here at Haringey, we pay the minimum of the London living wage, which I think at the moment is £11.05. So you can be earning a good wage. That would be the minimum. Some of the apprenticeships will pay slightly higher depending on what they are. So we're very competitive, and we believe that we should be paying you a good wage for what you're doing, and the work that you are doing for us, but also giving you that opportunity to learn and enhance your career and your skills. So opportunities that we might have available at the moment. So it's getting quite busy at the moment with apprenticeships. So part of my job role is to encourage all of our managers across Haringey to think about offering an apprenticeship first. And it's gaining momentum now. So we are starting to offer a lot more apprenticeships, which is great. And I do know of some that are coming up. We do have a few out to advert at the moment, which would be on the Haringey jobs website. I think if you go to the Haringey Council website, there's a link there, will take you straight through to the recruitment website that we have. But I have got the website address at the end of the presentation. So what we have had in the past, we've had examples of them. We've had business support, we've had an energy apprentice, which is quite interesting. So they work in the carbon team, and it's all about, I think part of his role was seeing how he was working very closely with schools to see how carbon efficient they are and what could be done to make them, save more energy, so it's costing them less to sort of heat the buildings and all those kinds of things. We've recently recruited, so these are examples of ones that we've recently had. Learning development apprentice. So within my team, we've got a young lady that started, and she's working in the learning development team, which is great. So she's doing presentations and helping with the corporate inductions and all those kinds of things. We've got a HR assistant apprentice, we've had procurement. So there's lots of areas, and that's the great thing about a local authority is that the range of jobs that are available are amazing. So it can be admin, but then we have legal, then we have procurement, and then we have our parks areas, which lend themselves really well to apprenticeships. And I think there's going to be some of those coming up very soon. So here is a list of the current ones. So an environmental health officer. So I'm got my fingers crossed. I've had conversations and I'm hoping that this one is going to be coming up very, very soon. Now this one is this would be a 4-year apprenticeship at Haringey, because you would enroll onto a professional qualification apprenticeship course that lasts that long. So fantastic opportunity there, hopefully. So keep checking the website. I will keep touching base with Faradon as well to let him know whatever apprenticeships are coming up within Haringey Council, so that he can let the residents know. So early years practitioner as well, we've got one of those coming up, an events assistant, which is very exciting because that's going to be working on a project at Alexandra Palace. So that one's going to be coming up very soon. Nursery nurse, again, these are ones that are really, on the verge of actually being advertised very, very soon. And as I mentioned, apprenticeships in our park areas. Business support assistant, that's just going out to advert this week, so keep a lookout for that one. And a commercial business apprentice, so that's working in our procurement team. I'm hoping that's going to be within the next 2 or 3 weeks. So these are the ones that I'm aware of at the moment. I've had discussions with the managers and we're just putting the final things in place to get them advertised. So quite exciting because that's a broad range of them there. As you can see there, keep checking our dedicated recruitment website. And so I've got the link there. So if you, as we've said, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to go back and see the link there. But again, I think if you go onto the Haringey government website, there's a link that will take you straight to our website for our roles. So in a moment, before I do hand you over and introduce Jack, who's one of our current apprentices, I just want to know if there are any questions from anybody. I can't see if any hands go up, so I'm relying on others to let me know, please.
There aren't any questions at the moment.
Okay. Okay. So if I stop sharing my screen at the moment.
There is a question from Anita. Anita's got her hands up.
Okay.
Can I speak?
Anita, you can speak.
All right. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't too sure because my device is messing about at the moment. Sorry, Lorraine. Will we actually get a copy of your slides as well, and at the same time, your details? Because I didn't.
Yeah.
I got thrown out, so I missed maybe slide 3 in that. At
Okay.
the same time.
No problem. I will. So Agfolia actually has a copy of these slides, so she will be able to ensure that a copy of them is sent out to you. Yeah, no problem.
And the list of the apprenticeships which are coming out, I mean, there's one what's come across of interest to me. Is it just that link that I need to go on to, or is there a different way of going through?
No, just that link is fine. You can, if you go onto that link, if for some reason that doesn't work, then as I say, if you go onto the Haringey Council website, there'll be a link within there that you will be able to. But yeah, it should work from that link on my slides.
Right. And is it possible, last question, is it possible, sorry, to contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't mind that at all. Yeah, I will I'll put my email in the chat.
Go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lorraine. Lorraine, I was just wondering, for our internal apprenticeship opportunities, are those advertised on the apprenticeship webpage, or it comes directly to you? Is it being managed by the National Apprenticeship webpage, Find an Apprenticeship Service, or it is directly to yourself?
So what, you mean the ones that we have available?
Yes.
Yeah, so they come direct to me, and then I arrange for them to be advertised on Haringey's website.
Okay. Is it also advertised on findandapprenticeshipservice.gov?
It's
or
not currently, but that's something I'm looking into to ensure that that does. And then the other thing that I want to ensure happens is that all apprenticeships within Haringey are forwarded on to Haringey Works so that they're aware of those.
Okay. At the moment, this may not, I don't know, but it's an open question. So I'm not sure what your answer will be, but are apprenticeship opportunities ring-fenced for residents, or, you know, do residents get guaranteed interviews? Anything at all like that, or not at the moment?
So residents, they don't get guaranteed an interview, but our apprenticeships are aimed at residents, yes. You have to be a Haringey resident or have a link to Haringey, either gone to school in Haringey or have someone, you know, family member that's still living there to apply for our apprenticeships. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So it gives more residents the opportunity to get into apprenticeships within Haringey. So yes, another plug from me. I encourage everyone interested, you know, please get in contact with Lorraine and put in an application, get support from Farringdon, and see how you get on. So should I leave Jack's introduction to you, Lorraine?
Yes, that's fine. So I'm going to hand you over to Jack. Hi, Jack. And so Jack Green works in our internal communications area, and he's currently undertaking an apprenticeship whilst doing his job role as well. So we just thought it would be great for him to introduce himself and just give his sort of testimony of how it's been for him and what it's actually like being an apprentice.
Thanks, Lorraine, and hi everyone. Thanks for having me. So the apprenticeship that I'm doing at the moment is in data. It's a data fellowship. I work in the communications team, which is about, and I work in internal communications, which is about writing to staff, writing newsletters, putting together campaigns to make sure that all of the work that's going on throughout the organisation, make sure that staff understand what's going on. But we put a lot of effort into our work, and the reason I wanted to take on or do more work with data was to sort of analyse and look at the performance and insight with the work that we're doing. So with that, I saw the opportunity come up for the data fellowship apprenticeship, and I'd never done an apprenticeship before, and I was the thing that worried me most was doing it alongside work. I thought that it was going to take up too much of my time. I thought it was going to be really stressful, and I mean, not only it can be stressful at times, but within reason. It's that was the one thing that I would say sort of almost put me off to the start. But then I spoke with Lorraine, I spoke with my manager, and they were really supportive in doing that, and they were supportive in sort of putting time aside to be able to sort of get out what I wanted to. Well, you get out what you put in, and just sort of to get out of the apprenticeship. So in terms of what we do in the apprenticeship, every couple of months we have a boot camp, which is just for half days, just to look at different theories and different aspects of data and how we can apply that to the work we do. We apply that to the work we do at Haringey. Specifically for communications, it's looking at sort of all the social media tweets we send out. It's all the Facebook Facebook posts we put out. It's looking at the web pages, how many people interact, how many people, how long do they stay, where could we improve on what we're doing, and that's what I'm looking. That's what I've been looking most at throughout the apprenticeship. My time that I spend on it, they ask you to do 10 hours a week on the job training, which sounds like quite a lot, but once you look at what you can do, you get into a rhythm, and that could be listening to a podcast, or it could be doing some reading, or it could be watching a video. It could be looking at we use an application called Power BI, which is about visualizing all of the information that I pull together. So I think the apprenticeship is level 4, so it's a really really respectable level, sort of within the within the sort of curriculum, and it's just been, at the moment, how I feel at the moment, it's just been very worthwhile doing. Obviously I've always got the support from Lorraine there and her team, but also my manager, and also the coach as well, who's in a company called Multiverse. I think I've got another sort of 5 or 6 months to go with an exam. There's been a couple of exams, there's some assignments to do, but I think if you just try and give half an hour a day just to chip away at it, it really comes together. And what's most, after doing it for probably about 8 or 9 months, is that you can see the progress that you've made and the value that you add to your work and the work that your team are doing as well. I don't know if you wanted me to mention anything else, Lorraine.
No, that's great, Jack. Thank you very much. I don't know if anyone has any questions for Jack.
Yeah, it's Anita again. I missed what you said your apprenticeship was.
Oh, so data fellowship, so data analysis.
Oh, data analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And is that you said you were using Power BI, which was what I was going to go and try and train myself in. But I know when you're working somewhere, it's a lot easier to implement it because you're doing it within your work. Do you find it easy doing it within the work? Would you say it would be a lot easier than me trying to learn it on my own?
It is quite it's a little bit tricky if you haven't used it before. Sorry, although like most Microsoft applications, they're fairly user friendly. But I mean, I'd say with Power BI that there's quite a lot to take in, and you have to get the data that you upload into it, that has to be perfect in a way. It can be quite glitchy. Yeah. So if you, but then obviously just doing that time and again, you learn how to do that. So I would say that it's always good to get a bit of professional training first, and as well, if you're adding this to your work, it's sort of, I can only see sort of benefits for teams if you're able to present that. And there's 20 or 19 other apprentices on the data fellowship apprenticeship, and everyone works across the whole organization. They're all looking at different areas, and all work in different areas of data, and it's just the value it adds, well, not only to the team but to the organization as well. So you gain skills yourself, but you're also really adding value to the work we're doing, and obviously at Haringey the work is about serving the residents who live in the borough, so it's sort of it's really positive. It's really positive to take on.
Hi, Jack. You have another question here, and the question is what?
Quickly.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Anita. Please continue.
Just quickly, with working in the position you're doing, do you? Because I'm also trying to see if I can train myself up on the Power App Apps and the Power Automate. I've tried out the Power Automate myself. It
Yeah.
has worked and it has failed as well
Right.
at the same time.
That's good. It's not always going to go swimmingly.
Do you use those? Sorry?
I don't use the other automation ones.
Right. Okay.
But there's lots of there's obviously our friends on YouTube who always have answers, which is good. But I just think I mean as well, just with using those, it's always good to sort of speak with digital services if you're just going straight in, because there will be, or there could be, possibly security elements that you might need to consider. So it's always worth just speaking with someone in digital services. I hope that helps.
And yeah, you do have another question. So Saida asks, hi Jack, what sort of initial experience might you need to get an apprenticeship in data analysis?
So I had no experience at all in anything. All I had was just a lot of but basically all I had was a lot of enthusiasm. But I had a bit of a plan, and I'm not someone with this grand career plan. Like I've got my 10, 20-year plan going on. I just had a real interest in data and an enthusiasm to sort of implement this sort of project into the team. And so I think from that, and Haringey as an employer, it's supportive with sort of developing people. And if you have an idea, everyone's always encouraged to come forward and give their ideas. So all I had was a couple of spreadsheets with I'll quickly share my screen. All I had was the spreadsheets with all of the information. Hang on. I mean, this is very. Oh no, I can't share it. But it's basically spreadsheets with all of the information, with the web pages. Then it's just got columns with numbers on, and then I would load that into Power BI. But I only learned Power BI through the apprenticeship. So, in terms of experience, I think having an idea of what you'd want to analyze is always a really good start. And then I think everything comes together. It's a really broad subject. It's in demand from employers, from what I understand, from what people are saying, that being able to look at some information or some data and being able to make a decision is really I think it was really attractive to prospective employers. I hope that answers your question. But essentially, I didn't have a lot. I just had it I just had an idea of this area of work that I would like to do. And then it's obviously the support around you.
And passion.
A bit of passion, yeah.
Okay, Jack, I've got a question. Have you incurred any cost at all throughout the course of training to be, training as an apprentice?
No, nothing.
So apprenticeship is truly free?
Oh yeah. I haven't been no one is no, nothing. It's all been supported for by by the council. I see it just in the
It just happens.
sure. I don't know. Yes, but no, I haven't been asked to pay anything at all.
Great. That was what the answer I was looking for, so that everyone really knows that, apprenticeships are free. It's at no cost to anyone whatsoever. And like you said, you do get support from your employer, or you do, in this case, Haringey Council. So thank you very much, Jack. If there are no more questions, we've got about 6 minutes, and I would give the floor really to Farrington to give a plug about his session on Friday.
Yeah, so again, just to kind of reiterate a few of the points. Obviously, my name is for anyone who's joined a bit later, my name is Faridun. I am the Specialist Apprenticeship Employment Advisor for Haringey Works. and it's kind of my role to support anyone who's interested in becoming an apprentice onto a high quality, meaningful apprenticeship. So what that involves for myself is to support you at all stages of the application. So when it's just looking for jobs, I can go out into the market and look for work for you and share specific opportunities for you. And then when it comes to the application side of it, I can also assist quite extensively in supporting you to put together a very strong and competent application. And then if the application stage goes well, is then to move into interview preparation, where I can spend, just to give you an example of the kind of interview prep we do. I had one candidate who came in. She was due to interview for the British Library. She hadn't interviewed in over a year. She'd been applying consistently to other roles, but just hadn't secured an interview. So after a couple of weeks of working together, she managed to move on to an apprenticeship with the British Library, and sort of to help her prepare her interview skills and to get back into the zone of interviewing and answering questions. What we did was at 11 a.m. on a Thursday, we met for our first session, where I essentially acted like the interviewer. I put her on the spot and I made her struggle a little bit just to see what level she was at. It wasn't great, her initial response. So then working together, I kind of suggested, okay, these are the things that you should do. This is how to approach the question. We met again in the afternoon at around 3 o'clock. This time her interview, her answers were a lot better. And then I provided some more refinements, some more suggestions, some more feedback. And then we met again at the end of day, I think it was around 4:30 till 5, where she felt very confident. So at the start of the day, literally couldn't speak as soon as I asked, tell me about yourself. But by the end of the day, she was very comfortable, and obviously gave her the weekend to prepare. And on the following Monday, she did very well with the interview and actually got offered the apprenticeship. So that's kind of the level of support that I can provide. But again, as other people have said before, especially what Jack says come to mind, you need a good bit of passion. So one of the things that I do, and I would encourage you to do, is to look through what's called the A to Zs of apprenticeship. And if I can just very briefly take over the screen, can everyone see that? Can everyone see my screen? Is that a yes? Is that a no?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, sorry. So this is the main document that I would suggest everyone on the call to look through if you haven't done so already. It's the A to Zs of apprenticeships, and it covers essentially every single apprenticeship that you can do, and the various levels and routes into it you can see here. So if you're interested in exploring this space, the first port of call is to look through this document. And for me, anyway, if you wish to work with me, is to select 10 to 15 different things that you find interesting. And then when we start working together properly, it's then to narrow those down, pick maybe 3 to 4 key areas, and to apply, aggressively like that. So generally, okay, so one of the persons needs to go. Ty, no problem. The details will be sent out after the call anyway. So I think we're coming up to a bit of the close now. But generally, if you are interested in getting into an apprenticeship scheme, starting a meaningful step forward into your final career path, we hope, or if you're looking to retrain, do please get in touch with me and book an appointment to come see me, and then we can work specifically on what you need to kind of take that step forward. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you all very much for attending today's session. I think it's been very useful based on the questions and the interactions. I would just like to say a big thank you to all our presenters and also to you all for attending. Just before we go, and we've all been very good, I think we've got 1 minute. I am quickly going to share my screen and talk to you briefly about sessions that is coming up for residents. So tomorrow we have Metropolitan Police Constable Degree Apprenticeship Opportunities. Then we would also have TFL degree apprenticeship opportunities. Then we have health and social care degree apprenticeship opportunities, and then construction apprenticeship opportunities also on Thursday. And then finally Farrington's session about tailored guidance for securing an apprenticeship. So please by all means, do sign up to these. Go back to Eventbrite and sign up to these sessions, whichever ones that you feel are relevant to you. But thank you all very much. Like we said, the recordings will be made available, not today, but a later date. So you can go back on our webpage and review whatever that has been discussed today. And the slides as well, if you left your email address, the slides will be sent out to you. So thank you very much for attending today's session. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.